November 14th, Tualatin City Council work session. We have one item on the agenda tonight, and that's TriMet's Forward Together service concept, led tonight by Kate Lyman. Welcome.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you tonight. My name is Kate Lyman. I work at TriMet as the Manager of Service Planning and Development, and I'm here tonight to talk about the Forward Together service concept. Forward Together is TriMet's concept for how our bus network may need to evolve in our new post-pandemic reality. What we found is that during the COVID-19 pandemic, ridership on TriMet's bus lines changed pretty dramatically in a lot of ways. And so we want to evolve and rebuild in a way that meets the needs of how people travel today. So in particular, what we found is that the people who used to commute in the peak hours are doing that much less now. So it's really the bus lines that used to serve the peak commuter to places like downtown Portland, or not exclusively downtown Portland, where people would commute in by the 8 or 9 o'clock hour and then leave, between 4 and 6 p.m. We used to have huge numbers of people that would do that in a concentrated time of the day. But those tended to be the people who were able to work from home during the pandemic. And so many of our bus lines that really served that type of rider have seen a pretty huge drop in ridership. So I can illustrate this with a couple of examples specific to Tualatin. On this bar graph, we have the line 94, which currently serves Sherwood to downtown Portland. The ridership on that line dropped by 58% between fall 2019 and spring 2022. If you contrast that to a line like the 76, which connects Tualatin to Beaverton, that line has retained much of its ridership that it had in 2019. So lines like the 76 that aren't necessarily commuter-based, but that serve a lot of different kinds of destinations. That one serves a hospital, it serves Bridgeport, it serves Washington Square. People who, largely continued riding it during the pandemic. It serves jobs that work on shifts. It serves different kinds of destinations that drive ridership all during the day. And as the data shows, that line has stayed pretty steady in ridership. So that's been really good. We began this process that we're calling Forward Together earlier this year with a public survey where we reached out to our community and asked for guidance on how we should prioritize the TriMet network going forward. As you may know, we've had to cut service during the pandemic due to our very significant operator shortage. And so as we rebuild our labor force, we wanted to ask our community how we should prioritize putting back service and where we should do it. And overwhelmingly, what we heard was that the three most important things are to restore ridership, bring riders back to TriMet, reduce congestion, which is kind of the same thing as restoring ridership. If you think about getting somebody to take TriMet means that they're not driving. So it kind of is the same thing. But also importantly, to really focus on improving services for lower income people specifically. So that's what we heard in our public outreach earlier this year. And so that became a principle that has guided our planning in this process. Again, TriMet does have resources to expand service beyond what we're providing right now in fall of 2022. The constraint that we're dealing with is labor. So we are doing our best to bring new people to work for us. We have a hiring bonus in place right now. We've also increased our wages. We have great benefits. We're doing hiring fairs as much as we can. So we are starting to slowly rebuild, but it will take time. In addition to restoring the service levels that we had in 2019, thanks to the measure that was passed in 2017, House Bill 2017, which is the Keep Oregon Moving Act, we actually have resources to expand service even beyond what we used to have. And so this plan is our effort to think about how we are going to deploy that service as we bring bus drivers into our system and as we have the labor resources to deploy it. So ultimately, with full build out of this plan, we will be about 38% above the bus service that you have right now in fall 2022. So that's a really big increase. So one of the ways that we think about evaluating the usefulness of our concepts is in thinking about access to opportunity. So the next few slides is attempting to explain that. So if you can imagine a person lives anywhere in the Portland metro region. This person has any number of destinations that she may want to get to. She may want to go to the bank. She may want to go to the gym, to the grocery store, to an office, to a restaurant, to church, any number of places, to school. You can actually measure how many places she can get to within a certain amount of time using mapping software that we have available. You can measure her ability to travel within an amount of time and then count up the destinations within her area of opportunity. So this is a conceptual bubble. You can picture this person, and within 45 minutes, the gray bubble is where she can go using the transit network. So thinking about how this actually applies to the TriMet service area, we have done this kind of analysis both with our existing TriMet network and then with our Forward Together service concept. This is an example from the east side of the region. I do have examples for Tualatin later on in this presentation. But as you can, if you can picture somebody standing at this red dot, which happens to be Northeast 148th and Halsey, the sort of area that's kind of looks in like the pinkish reddish area today is the geographic area that a person could reach in 45 minutes using TriMet from Northeast 148th and Halsey. And then the sort of bluish area is what this person would be able to get to once we build out the Forward Together service concept. So by adding all of the service that we've proposed in this concept, you would be able to travel a lot farther from this same destination on transit within the same amount of time, within 45 minutes. I do want to emphasize that Forward Together is a concept, and the goal is to create conversation with all of our community members to understand if we've really captured community priorities in the right way. Again, one of our major focuses is in thinking about equity, as was guided to us through our public outreach earlier this year. We have thought really carefully about how we prioritize services specifically to low-income people and people of color. And so the concept overall includes several things. It includes an expansion of the frequent service network. We define frequent service as service that arrives every 15 minutes or more frequently than that. It includes expanding the grid of services to new areas. It includes upgrading some bus lines that run pretty infrequently to up to 30 minutes. It includes expanding weekend service. A lot of what we've heard about during this process is the need for weekend service, because if you're a shift worker, you may not have the traditional Saturday, Sunday off. We have new lines that are serve areas that are far from transit today. The concept does also include reducing service to some areas that are both low demand and higher income overall. So the next two slides, if I can toggle back and forth between them a little bit, these talk about the changes in the southwest part of our region, so Tigard, Tualatin, Lake Oswego area. So this network is the TriMet map today. And then this is the Forward Together service concept. So it's a little bit hard to see on the screen, but I'll sort of toggle back and forth. So some of the key things that we're proposing for this part of the region include replacing bus lines that serve the peak only today with bus lines that would run all day. So one of the key ones that affect Tualatin is the Line 97, which is on Tualatin Sherwood Road right now. That has a handful of trips in the morning and a handful of trips in the afternoon. In this concept, we're proposing to turn it into an all-day bus line that runs every hour. And we're also proposing to extend it a little further north to Tigard to make some more connections for people trying to get to those jobs in that area. On Boones Ferry Road, particularly Boones Ferry south of Tualatin, right now we have the Line 96 serving that road, which is basically a peak commuter-oriented line. In this concept, we're proposing to replace that with the Line 44, which would run all day, hourly or better. It would connect to PCC Sylvania, and then also would eventually get all the way into downtown Portland. So the real trade-off though with that particular line is that it's not an express service anymore. Instead of really targeting the sort of downtown Portland commuter, it's providing service all day and making some more connections along the way, including the one to PCC. Also included in this concept is an extension of the line 76 that would go along Borland Road and across I-205 to Oregon City. That's one of the key regional connections we've heard about for years, is Tualatin to Oregon City. So that's included in the concept as well. And then a little bit less relevant specifically to Tualatin, but we do have a fair number of changes proposed for OHSU. Right now we have peak commuter oriented buses that connect different parts of Beaverton and Southwest Portland directly to OHSU. And instead we are proposing to replace those with all day lines that run through Hillsdale. And so for somebody coming from Tualatin, you could connect to Hillsdale through the line 44 and then connect up to OHSU. So again, just to reiterate some of the specific concepts that affects the city of Tualatin. The line 76, it's already a frequent service line. We're not proposing to change that. And we're not actually proposing to change any of the way that it operates specifically in Tualatin. A little bit north, though, we are suggesting that it, north of Bridgeport, that it move to 72nd Avenue to serve the Tigard Triangle, which is something that we've heard is a desire there. And then again, south of Tualatin, extending it further to the east along Borland Road over to Oregon City. The line 94, in the concept, we gave it a new number. It's essentially the same line, but with a better frequency of service and extending to Tigard. The line 44, again, that's the service that would replace the line 96 on Boone's Ferry, and it connects to PCC Sylvania. It does still connect into downtown Portland, so people who do ride the 96 into downtown Portland would still have that connection. It would just be on a local bus as opposed to an express. And then I'm sorry, as I was explaining the line 94 above, I mixed that up with the line 97. So the line 94 is the line that serves Highway 99W. So that one currently goes all the way from Sherwood into downtown Portland. And what we're finding is that people aren't riding it all the way into downtown Portland today. So we're proposing to make it shorter, but more frequent. So people who would need to go from Sherwood into downtown Portland would need to make a transfer, but they would have in exchange a better frequency of service. The line 97 is the one along Tualatin Sherwood Road that we have given a new number in the concept called the 131. That would be the one that would extend to Tigard and have all day service, which it doesn't currently have today. So here's an example of sort of that access to opportunity map that I created showing the access specifically from the Tualatin West Station. So this red circle here is around the West Station. The blue area is where you can go today using TriMet in 45 minutes. And then the pinkish area is the additional areas that you could reach with implementation of these concepts. So you can get a little further along Tualatin Sherwood Road in 45 minutes because of the better service there. You can get up to PCC Sylvania. You can get a little further into Lake Grove. You can get a little further along Borland Road. The main negative impact would be to Boone's Ferry Road because of the slower service on line 44 as opposed to line 96 and the connection into Wilsonville. So in summary, these are statistics for the region, not specific to Tualatin, but in summary, the concept represents 38% more resources in terms of the provision of bus service from TriMet. Overall, we're adding the ability of 50,000 more residents region-wide to have bus service near their residence. We have, in general, substantially more jobs reachable by the median resident. We have new routes in all three of the counties that we serve. We have 50% more people near frequent service and 100,000 people that would be living near service that's running on the weekend. And I'll reiterate by saying this is a concepts. These are concepts that we're seeking feedback on. We are listening. We've actually closed our formal public outreach survey, and we are listening and making refinements that will be presented at the TriMet board meeting in about a month. And however, before any changes are made, we will go through our typical service planning process, which requires multiple public hearings as well as 2 readings at the TriMet board. So the very first moment at which any of these changes and anywhere in the region would be made would be September of next year. Prior to that happening, there will be a specific public outreach period for the lines that would be affected starting in January. And we would have multiple public hearings, as I mentioned, as well as public open houses and anything else we can do to reach out to the people that would be specifically affected by any of the changes we'd make in a given year. And that's the end of my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. And if I can't answer them, I will say I'm working with a team of folks at TriMet. I'm happy to take questions back and bring answers to you if I'm not able to answer them tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Lyman.
Mhm.
Questions? Councilor Pratt?
On the line 44, what will be the frequency of that? Will it be all week and weekends?
Yes, it would have weekend service. And I believe right now we're assuming about hourly service.
Oh, okay. That's really good. And I really appreciate that one over towards like Murray Hill area too. I appreciate that you're looking at making more connections, not just to downtown Portland, but across our cities, because that's needed for a long time. And the other thing I've been on Max and stuff recently, and I really appreciate how you guys have increased the people on the buses checking tickets and making sure it's safe, because that was a great improvement. I had another question, but I just wondered how you, like in Portland, it's a little easier, but a lot of suburban cities like ours, we kind of have a mix, a real split actually, of kind of people a little above average income and higher, and then low income. And so how did you take into account that those little sections of, lower income densely populated in the suburban areas?
We're able to drill down pretty closely to see where there is multifamily residential, and we try in all cases to make sure that the multifamily residential in particular is served well by transit. So, we use a number of tools. We use the regional land information system that comes from Metro. We have obviously aerial photos and different things that help us as we're sort of thinking big picture about where routes should run. I would say that we pay close attention to places where we know that there are specific services that are of importance to people of a variety of incomes, including grocery stores, community colleges, high schools. We know from various sources where lower and medium wage jobs are, so we use maps of those as well.
Okay. And my last question is just like, once this is implemented, then is it flexible? I mean, like if dynamics change and say everybody starts going downtown Portland, at what point will you relook at it and change it to the changing
Yes,
traveling patterns?
it's certainly flexible. And that's one of the beauties of bus service, right? You can change it if it's not working. And so, yes, we do monitor passenger loads on all of our buses. So we have counters. So we know when buses are overloaded. If we start to see that, the buses that do go into downtown Portland are getting really crowded, we can start to deploy more buses on those routes that exist. We can always reopen the conversation about whether express service to downtown Portland is what the community needs. What we're really finding right now is that it's just not being used the way that it used to. But 3-4 years from now, if that changes, we can and we will reevaluate.
I mean, it'd be great someday if we could have where you could go to an event in Portland or at the Modus Center and have a pretty quick ride there. But I think taking care of people getting to their jobs is more important as a first priority. Thank you.
Other questions? Councilor Reyes and Councilor Sacco.
The one on Borland and that's going towards Oregon City, I think lines
76. Mhm.
That will be also on weekends, or it's just,
I think it would be, yes.
and do we know the exact stops where?
We
Not
don't
yet.
know yet. That will be that'll be something that if the concept is approved by our
Mhm.
board, that'll be a next step for them to go out and really do the site work that we
Very
would
well.
need to figure out where we could put safe bus stops.
Yeah, and I echo what Councilor Pratt's saying about going east-west, because there's some services on the east and the west side of our city that our community would definitely take this route. Thank you.
Councilor Sacco.
Thank you. And thank you for your presentation. I was also going to comment on 76 and the connection there, which I think is a huge plus. So thank you for that. My question has to do with this just being a concept right now and knowing that the tolling project is going on as well. And has that been factored into this at all with the 45 minutes and getting from, place to place? And how does the tolling and diversion conversation work into this? And has that been considered?
Are you asking in terms of whether there's additional traffic on the road and if it makes the bus slower?
Correct. Because I think that's conversations that we've been having, that there will be more traffic on these corridors that we're looking at, where you have, more frequent service and taking those time, like your 45 minutes example, and how the diversion off the freeways onto these side roads could impact those numbers.
In our conversations with ODOT, we are trying to identify locations where we could potentially, as a mitigation for tolling, have transit priority bus lanes or transit priority signals. So I would say that it's just definitely something that's being worked through right now, is how do we make sure that tolling doesn't slow down transit service? Because I know that, I don't want to speak for ODOT certainly, but there's a lot of interest in making sure that people have a really useful transit option if they don't want to pay the tolls to get across the bridge. So that is something that we're trying to figure out, is how do we build the roadway infrastructure to keep the bus moving on time, and at least as quickly as it does today, if not faster.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things ODOT's proposing, where we have the bus on shoulder right now from Williston to Walton. They're looking at bus on shoulder on 205
Oh,
to
that's
make
great.
this happen.
Yeah, that's good. And also, I think that's a part of it, but the other part of it is just the congestion off the freeway too. That's gonna happen.
Yes, and we do have lots of examples in other parts of the region where we have started to implement bus only lanes in different locations. I don't know if there's some in Portland today. There's also places where, you'll see a right turn lane, but it'll say right turn except bus. The bus can sort of jump ahead of the congestion. So those are a few other tools that we've used on like local streets.
Okay.
that, depending on the context, may or
Right.
may not be something that we could do down here, but it's being looked at.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Council President Grimes.
Thank you. And thank you for your questions, because that's kind of where my mind was going too, as well as when you're looking or projecting possible ridership, when you look especially at like 76 and lines that are going to sort of end up going north from Tualatin, did you factor in like increased ridership when and if tolling becomes? Because I think a lot of people might choose public transportation, either for, like you say, the speed to get around the tolling station, and then also for the cost. Because, for people that are commuting north for work, that could end up being a pretty expensive thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we created formal projections of ridership. I think ODOT is doing some of that in their tolling work. But what I will say is that, these concepts we can always scale up the service that are on any given line if we're seeing that it needs more service and if we have the budget to do so. So if that starts to happen, then, and we think that the 76 just needs more trips out there, that might be something that we would, consider doing. Right now, there's space on the buses for people to take them. They're not overloaded.
Right.
Another strategy that we're hoping to think about for the future is having bigger buses in general. We've started to incorporate them into other parts of the region where they're, instead of a standard bus that holds about 50 people, they can typically hold about twice that. And so they're called articulated buses. They have they're bendy buses. We would like to buy more of those so that eventually we can have more passenger capacity in general. And it just, makes sure that we have as much space for anybody who wants to ride as possible. So that's another strategy that we're trying to think through, and we could, potentially, if we're able to buy those buses, we could deploy them with tolling as part of the mitigation for that.
Thank you. 2 more quick questions. Beyond Oregon City, would the 76 line go any further north, like for people that maybe are employed up closer to like Clackamas Town Center area? that
The
live out by
concept
us
is to have it end at Oregon City. There are plenty of connections from Oregon City further
that are
north.
timely to get up there?
Already a pretty long line coming from Beaverton to get all the way to Oregon City. So I think extending it further makes, it's just a little challenging operationally for us. There's only so long you can have a driver drive before they need a break.
Right.
So I think the idea would be that they would need to transfer at the Oregon City Transit Center to get to.
Because, my perception is that the issue of tolling and where the tolling takes place is going to really change a lot of ridership habits.
Mhm.
And so I'm just wondering, like how much and when and where can, community input factor into the projects that you guys are working on? And as Councilor Reyes mentioned, for instance, at what point in this process can we help give input of where we think good stations would be, or, rider pickup, drop off areas? Because on Borland, we have a free clinic that we would like to be able to have bus service, regularly dropping people off there, and, things that are really peculiar to our individual community. We'd like to get input, and when is the best time to participate?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and we would love any guidance and input on where to put bus stops. I think it's not likely that would be a service that we would try to implement next year because it takes some time to site bus stops. So as we develop our work plan for the next few years, implementing all of these services, I think in a few months we'll have a better timeline for you about when we might start really thinking about where those bus stops would go. So I would say we're happy to come back in 6 months or 9 months. And if that's a timely moment to sort of talk to you about our ideas for the Line 76. And sometime, there's a few different places, Borland Road being one of them, where we have proposals to put bus service on brand new streets that don't have it today. We have a mandate from our general manager to make sure any new bus stops are ADA compliant, which means you have to do a little bit of concrete work to ensure that somebody getting off the bus has a stable place to unload their wheelchair. So that just takes some time to engineer and to figure out where if there's space, do you have to buy right of way? There's just, it's a bit of a process. So I would say it's at least 6 to 9 months out before we really start thinking that through. But we would certainly be very grateful for input on where the riders are along that area and where we should be making sure we put stops.
Remember, Ride Connection is going to start providing service down Borland before TriMet starts.
Right.
So Ride Connection already be going east-west. So there's some
That's great.
smaller
Yes.
pickup points on Borland Road because they have smaller buses, but at least they'll have the data of where people getting on and off.
Yeah, they'll have the experience of having done it to kind of get it.
That's
started.
great. Yeah, thank you. We will definitely coordinate with them.
And then I just kind of have an overarching question or comment that I've noticed that commuting traffic now seems like it's finally gotten back to pre-pandemic levels as far as congestion and the amount of time it takes to travel. And I know in our community, you were saying certain people that were able to work remotely during the pandemic have stayed remote. What are you seeing in other communities to help sort of back up the congestion figures getting back to where they were in 2019 as far as, the amount of time it takes? And
Gosh, I'm not sure if I can speak for why traffic in general is the way it is. I know that we did try to do our best to reach out to major employers and ask what they expect their employees' commuting patterns are going to be. And what overwhelmingly we heard is that flexible work is the new norm. So people, overwhelmingly we heard that employers do want their employees to come in, but they're not likely to ever go back to requiring 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So I don't know that's not an answer as to why, traffic is the way it is. I think that's actually a question for Metro. They're doing a whole they're doing a bigger picture look on transportation patterns in general. And we've just really been focused on who's riding the bus.
Yeah, I just didn't know if when you were talking to different communities, like you're, talking with us tonight, if there was anything that you had seen that was sort of eye-opening as far as, if with all this flexibility, why are there other communities where they're seeing different demographic changes? And if there's anything that we can learn from that to like help the people that live here that, don't work in the community, that still have to community.
Yeah, gosh, I'm not sure that I have any really helpful tidbits for you. I'm sorry.
It was a great presentation. So thanks.
Councilor Hilliard.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for your time and your great presentation. I have two questions. One, I'm just curious how the data was gathered that you have. Like, did you talk to the populations that you're talking about specifically? They're, people of color and or underserved or low-income people?
Yeah, well, we start with demographics. Of course, we get all the baseline demographic information from the census. There was an American Community Survey published in 2021. That's where we get the income and race demographics. But yes, we have a team that does community outreach. And so we went and did a number of in-person community events specific to different pockets of racial and ethnic groups throughout the Portland metro area, and to talk to people about what they need. And it basically really reaffirmed what we were hearing from our survey. Of course, you hear from the most number of people through your survey, because that's the easiest way for people to engage. But retail, service, industrial workers, they really need service that runs consistently at all different times of the day and on the weekends. And so many of the people we talked to were very excited to see that we're really focusing on that. And yes, different connections to different industrial job centers also was very popular. So I think it's a combination of just demographic data and our TriMet has a team of people who go work with community-based organizations on a number of different topics. So we reached out to them for this as well.
Thank you. My other question is, I'm curious if you're focusing on the county seats for transportation routes back and forth. A lot of times, at least for residents of Tualatin, it's a long way to get out to Hillsborough, and I don't see anything indicated getting out to Hillsborough to help support services, like if somebody has to go to jury duty and be there at 7 a.m. or whatever. I mean, is it going to take them 2 hours to get there on a bus? It kind of looks like. So I'm a little concerned that hasn't been even considered in this, and I'm wondering if there are plans for that.
I have not heard that come up.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's something that we can look at. Tualatin to Hillsborough.
I mean, we're the farthest away, right, from any of those services. And I think it's really important for people in your position and to bring that back, to recognize that we want to reduce congestion and do a lot of other things, plus reduce barriers for our residents to be able to get to services. We need to at least put that as part of the conversation.
Sure.
Thank you.
We do talk with Washington County regularly.
Well, and I don't know about Clackamas and Multnomah County. It's it's county regional issue. So maybe it's the same in the other two counties. I don't know, but it's worth the conversation.
It is.
Thank you.
Questions?
And can I just add, and also with Clackamas County, we're like on the west, we're like, way
Yeah,
out. So
sorry,
we're
yeah.
kind of both counties pretty far away from any of those kinds of. Yes, what I was saying is that on both of the counties, we're the furthest, either on the west or the further west and further east. So if you can bring that is really good. I concur with her. Comments on that.
I appreciate that comment.
Just to add to that, I know Clackamas County, you've got people out in Estacada. So I think might even be a bigger issue for Clackamas County to get to the county seat.
Well, Councilor Hilliard got my question.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good.
That's
Hillsborough,
good.
because that's always a conversation I'm always having with Mayors Callahan, Callaway and Delenn, is, folks who might work at the Intel plant in Hillsborough, they can't do the bus because they can't wait an hour and 45 minutes each way to get out there. And those folks who do need the services of Washington County, community action, mental health agencies, they're all in Hillsborough. And so there's, it's a 2-hour trip each way. And then what do you do about daycare? So that's the challenge for me in TriMet, is getting folks from Tualatin to Hillsborough, in a little less time. A second question I have is, several people I've shared the presentation with They like the idea that the 44 will be daily and hourly, but they kind of are going to miss the speed of the 96. So what's envisioned, how long will it take from go, like say to Walton Park and Ride to Portland? Do you have any idea yet under the new line?
We haven't scheduled it yet, so I'm not sure, but it will be
It'll be
longer.
longer. But the thing is to keep in mind, don't make it so long that people say, screw it, I'm gonna get in my car. It's the same reason, the people drive out to Hillsborough right now because it's just faster on the car. 96 was terrific at getting you there ideally in less than a half hour. I know this line's gonna be longer, have more stops, but if it ends up being an hour and a half to get to Portland, we're gonna have the same dilemma we have with Hillsborough. And then the last part, in today's Washington County Coordinating Committee, the TriMet representative said this was the fiscally restrained moving forward. You're gonna have version 2.0 of this coming out. The unrestrained, can you talk about that a little bit? Because she only had about a minute left. So she said, we focused on this one, but she said, there's version 2.0 where the sky's the limit kind of.
Sure. So this is representative of the resources that we actually have. So we did make sure that we didn't want to propose ideas that we couldn't actually implement. So, but we do recognize that beyond what's on,
And like our Hillsborough question.
yes, there are lots of community desires for future service. And so that's the effort we intend to undertake in the next year and a half after this, sort of nearer term plan is completed and starts to be implemented. I don't know if any of you were familiar with the service enhancement plans that we did about 10 years ago. They were long-term plans that were developed with the community. I actually came here to Tualatin like 8 years ago and we did a plan, but they were not financially constrained. They were meant to be sort of representative of community desires for TriMet. When we didn't go through what we intentionally meant for them to be aspirational. So this Forward Together 2.0 will be kind of a revival of that, saying, here's what the community wants TriMet to deliver if more resources become available. And so it will become a tool for us to capture community desires and also to strategize about how as a region we could make those priorities happen, in one way or another. So that's something that, we would be kicking off, in the next year.
So sometime late 2023 or.
Right, yeah.
I'm just trying to put that in my head with our TSP coming up. That will be updating our TSP next year.
Okay,
And then you got the CFEC, it's heavily dependent on people getting on transit. So hopefully the stars will align. They're all occurring at the same time.
yes, I'm happy to work with your team, with your TSP timeline. To be honest with you, we haven't really set specific milestones for our next phase of Forward Together. So we're still thinking that through, but if there are key ones that we need to know about to coordinate with you, then, we'll certainly take that into account.
I appreciate you taking out the time tonight to visit with us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, so that was the only big item on our agenda tonight. So we've got agenda review and roundtable. So first thing is we have one proclamation. It's a Small Business Saturday proclamation. Who'd like to do that? Council Pratt, you got it. Any questions, concerns with what's on the consent agenda? Looks like Councilor Sacco's up for Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Anything else? Captain Pickering's got 2 introductions. Councilor Brooks will not be attending tonight. Chief Pickering, I'm sorry. It's beaten my brain for so long. Captain Pickering, that's gonna be Captain Rankin now.
I know. It's exciting.
So Captain, I did it again. Chief Pickering has 2 introductions, and then Council Brooks won't be here tonight, so we'll skip on the public health announcement. With that, we'll go ahead and start our council roundtable, starting with Councilor Sacco.
We had our final diversity planning committee wrap up. So it was our last meeting, which means we'll have representatives from that committee here in 2 weeks. And so I'm really excited for them to share with you all what the committee came up with. I think it's a really great opportunity for the community. I'm excited for them to be here. I'd also like to propose a Native American Heritage Month proclamation for the month of November. And if there is interest in that from the council.
Yep.
All right.
Like an
You have the verbiage
acknowledgement
yet?
of.
What was that?
Do you have the verbiage for it yet that Sherwin has?
No, not yet.
So make that a proclamation.
Mhm.
Proclamation. Okay. We can put something together for what, the 28th?
28th, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We had something, didn't we do something similar for like indigenous people? Acknowledge.
I think the last time we did an Indigenous peoples was in 2018.
Oh, gosh. I'm
Counselor
blanking now.
Davis used to, yeah,
Yeah, I think that would,
that was Columbus Day.
Yeah,
Or,
I'd
sorry,
like to-
Indigenous People Day.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd love to visit that because we have such a huge history here.
Mhm.
It's
I've
Wonderful.
I've seen
Native
several
American.
proclamations from
Native.
Native American history, and they've been pretty good.
Mhm.
I'd love that.
Plus, recognizing the tribes here and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, that are so specific
Yeah.
to us. That'd be great.
Okay, that'll be on the agenda on the 28th then.
That was it.
That's Hillier.
I don't have anything to report. Thank you.
Counselor Pratt.
The only thing I have is, did a tour of Republic Services last week and it was very interesting. And I wrote, that you can go right, it's not very far, it's barely into Wilsonville. And you can take electronics and that packing material, like if you get a refrigerator and dump it off right there. So it's kind of nice. And I also, the big thing that was shocking to me is it's one of the top 5 most dangerous jobs there is.
Hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah, I too toured the Republic Services down in Wilsonville that service our city. And yeah, it was really interesting to see how everything goes from my house all the way over there, separated and the whole thing. So one of the things that I stood out to me was the batteries, how to recycle batteries. So currently what we can do is put all these batteries in a Ziploc bag or like a little, any bag you want to just put it and close it and then put it on the glass container. So not on your recycling bin, the big giant one, the one that it's small that sometimes we don't use, but you can put it there and they would be happy to take it and recycle that because some of the most dangerous things that they go through are fires. And so these are causes, these batteries cause fires. And it's really dangerous for like if you're driving the truck and fire sparks. So that was one of the things I really want to convey and tell our city, our residents to please do not put batteries in the recycle bin where you put paper and other things. Put it in a Ziploc bag or any little bag that you can close and then put in the glass container and then take it out and they will take it and recycle that and they would get rid of it appropriately. But yeah, interesting. You can dump almost anything there. You can just take it. Another thing that they mentioned, and the little foamy things that when you open a TV and there's like, kinds of little tiny foam things, peanuts, whatever they want to call them, put them in a bag because if you just dump them in, you go over there, you dump them, they just fly everywhere because they're so light. So make sure you put them in a plastic bag, wrap them up nicely and take them there. So that way they don't, have to pick them up everywhere. So that was the other thing that I learned.
President Grimes.
I don't.
Well, I'm kind of shocked that Councilors Pratt and Sacco didn't mention the Parks Fund.
Well, it hasn't officially, we don't want to like.
Nobody wants
Yeah.
to. My comments right here.
All right. Well, it's looking pretty good for the Parks Fund. Last I saw, it seems like it's going to pass, so I don't want to jinx it, but I want to thank the voters for passing it. We've got a lot of projects lined up over the next few years. I think there's a lot of pent up demand for some of those sports facilities, access to the river trails. So looking forward to that. And I also want to thank Kristen, Valerie, Beth Dittman, and Emma Gray for really working your butts off to get it passed. I was joking with Kristen, it wasn't a day on Facebook, there wasn't a Parks Bond thing popping up. And signs were everywhere, so terrific job in organizing that.
Looks like it's passing by over 1,000 votes.
Yeah. Back on the second, I attended the Tualatin Historical Society luncheon. It was their annual meeting. Ross Baker made kind of a joke that the board of directors were 100% elected, kind of like Soviet style. There wasn't one dissenting vote. So the board, they have one new board member, former Air Force veteran, but their slate of candidates were all re-elected. The Veterans Breakfast was phenomenal again this year at the Pole Center. Very much thank you to Dale Potts for organizing the part of the military coordination of it, and for Sarah and Maryland, a regular, as they always do, a terrific job on hosting all those folks. It's the highlight. One of the things I do as mayor. I enjoyed it. One thing I mentioned to Ross was that maybe we rethink the registration thing, because in the past we used to have the small buses come up from the veterans' homes and offload 10 or 15 veterans at once. And with the registration, who knows, maybe that hindered it in some way, because we did have empty seats. So I'd rather have full seats rather than empty ones. I didn't see those kind of buses this year. It might be because COVID and all that good stuff, but love to see that again. On the 7th, Sherilyn and Jonathan and I met with Representative Prusak. Remember, Representative Prusak had some ARPA dollars that she allocated to our area. We finally worked out with Washington County that some of her money will go to the Tualatin Chamber of Commerce for business recovery efforts, business connect continuation. They'll start in January. They'll have a marketing campaign. But Representative Prusak was very happy the money finally got distributed before she's out of office.
She'll be gone before anybody's gonna get it done.
Do they have to be a member of the chamber?
No, you don't have to be a chamber to get the
Okay.
services. No, they're just going to be administrating
Okay,
the program, but you do not have to be a chamber
okay.
member. On this past Saturday, Mayor Truax of Forest Grove had his toast and roast. He decided not to run for re-election, so he will be done by mid-December. They don't wait. They don't have a lame duck period in Forest Grove. So a bunch of the area mayors and a lot of folks in Forest Grove really did the roasting and toasting. To him was a lot of fun. Mayor Ogden was even there to talk about way back when they had very opposite opinions on certain things, but they were always respectful to each other. Today, Mike just left. I was hoping he'd be here. I had the Washington County Coordinating Committee. Two big things. Metro has a regional transportation plan project selection process they're going through. And the biggest concern is they want cities to propose projects for the regional transportation plan between January 6th and February 17th. And we said to them, there's going to be a whole bunch of new mayors, a whole bunch of new city councilors. How is that possible?
Right.
How are you thinking to meet this? The problem is that Metro has a date certain. They have to finish the RTP done by. So they're supposed to take this out and you come to us. So I don't know how they're going to do this to get our input on what projects we want to propose or what we'll support in a month and a half.
Yeah.
And where we have like I said, you have mayors and councilors who don't even know what
We're
RTP
brand
stands.
new, yeah.
So we raised that flag. We'll see what Metro says.
We'll just look at the
One of the TPAC representatives, which is a staff person who works behind the scenes on Washington County Coordinating Committee technical programs. John Odemont, he's from Hillsborough, he's retiring. Mike McCarthy is already one of the TPAC members. So there's an empty seat. So I've already renominated Mike to stay on the TPAC and asked that he be promoted to the primary. We'll see how that works out in the next couple of months at the Washington County Coordinating Committee. There's a lot of other alternatives. Beaverton, I know, wants to propose someone, as does Tiger. It's like two folks who get to go on. And this is where Mike comes in on the regional mobility policy update. Again, Metro's going through this process of how should we measure performance as far as transportation? How do you do that? And one of the performance measures is that on a interstate or major highway, that you never go below 35 miles per hour for more than 4 hours a day. And some, you know, and we went back and forth about this. It's all about how do you define congestion? How do you measure? Mike had a concern with that he brought up, that right now we only allow for 1 hour of congestion. So we're now expanding that congestion to be now an additional 3 hours
Yeah, it's a lot.
every day. And what's the impact going to be in the region on that? Because he had all the modeling, of course, in his head, that as, you know, I-5 gets congested and backed up, the amount of volume that goes and gets diverted.
Mhm.
The mayor, the Washington County Coordinating Committee voted to support the plan right now as it is, because we need to start something. We can always finesse this. But I thought Mike did a terrific job on saying that's one of his concerns, and that's why he's on TPAC, because he does have concerns about we're going to allow more congestion, more time for congestion. We really don't want that. But is that something, you know, we're kind of, you know, peak 2 hours, you know, AM and PM, but we're now opening the gates, if you will, that we're accepting that we have to have those 4 hours. And I think that's it for me. Anything else? All right,
I can give you guys a couple of updates if you want.
sure.
Yeah, we'd love some.
Next, just kind of administrative stuff, but the next council meeting, so the 28th of November, we're going to do the holiday greeting.
Oh.
So we'll do it live and in person this year instead of the choreographed.
Yeah.
Oh, I better go on a diet. Yeah.
So wear your festive clothes.
Festive.
Your holiday sweater.
Oh, you do not want to go there.
Oh, uglier the better.
Ask for it.
We'll also, the work session next council meeting on the 28th will include the Equity Committee Planning Group. They will be here presenting, as Councilor Sacco mentioned. And then Washington Green Line Shuttle update. Cody's the one that's coordinating that, I believe. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting, the transit activities in Washington County that may relate to what time.
Monday after Thanksgiving, right?
Secondly, December 12th is your last council meeting of the year. And we're going to do an outgoing reception and recognition of Council President Grimes.
No toast and roast?
But-
Roast part.
So there's already a Tualatin Moving Forward quarterly update or annual report on that work session, but that'll take about 30 minutes. So from 5 to 6, we'll do a reception with heavy hors d'oeuvres that'll replace your normal dinner, and hopefully Councilor Grimes can invite her family and friends, and we'll have plenty of food and festivities to go around. So that'll be nice. January 5th, which is a Thursday at 5 o'clock, we'll do a swearing in ceremony here. So there'll be 4 of you, but everybody will be invited. All the council will be invited. We'll have.
What date? I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, January 5th,
Okay.
Thursday. It'll be a swearing in. We're gonna
That's
do
so
a
nice.
swearing in here. Judge Morris will be available to do the swearing in or at, and
Are you gonna know that last council position?
swearing in.
I know, hopefully they'll
And
know by
then,
then.
so please feel free to invite your family and friends, and we'll put out a little invitation, social, you can put on social media, and then we will also do light finger foods and desserts and drinks. First meeting of 2023 is January 9th. And at that meeting, we will do council photos. We'll have our guy come in and do a group photo and then opportunity for headshots if you want to update your old headshot or
Yeah, you can do that. I love that.
try for a better one. First one. Yeah, so those are my updates.